Hey up and welcome to Last Cast. We've decided we haven't done a predator video for a little while, so we've decided a nice winter's day. Although the river's on the up, we've come out on the river today. Got the dead bait rods out. Fishing at the moment with smelt on 3 and lamprey on the other. Just pop the rods out now, and we're going to just let them defrost a bit, and then we'll get a bit of oil in them, get some scent going down the river. Going to film it today, a bit like a diary, so sort of piking diaries. Talk you through all the what we do, but I mean basically we're using the same basic rigs that we talked through on the Piking River video that we did the other year. So if we do anything different, pop-ups or anything like that, we'll sort of show you what we're doing and talk you through it. But the rig's basically just sliding ledger with floats on. There's a fair bit of water coming through at the moment, and we're struggling to hold mid-river even with 5-ounce leads and big large bobber floats on. It's coming up a bit. I mean the bank we're stood on at the moment, it's probably come up about 6 inches since we've been setting up, so there's a good chance we're going to have to move back up the bank a bit. But we'll fish off this little sandbank for the time being and see how we do. Got the rods in the river, and let's see what we get out of here. And well, obviously we'll talk you through unhooking if we get one, because last time when we were doing that demonstration video, the pike managed to unhook itself, so that was a nice easy one. But we'll hopefully get some today, get them on the mat and show you in close up how we do it, and we'll see what we do. Right, let's get piking and see what comes out. Talk to you soon. Right, looks like we've just got going, and we're into one already, so let's see what we've got. Let it run a little bit, make sure it's on. Just making sure it's a fish, just need to see a little touch. Yep, right, we're in. It's not bad, only been here like that. That might have chucked yep, it's chucked it. Bugger. Definitely a fish that though, so we know we're in the right place. Yeah, I can see where it's had hold of its head. Should have maybe left it a fraction longer, but it's had hold of its head and turned it. Let's get it back in the same spot and see if we can get it again. It's not felt the hooks there, so that's a good thing. It's away from the hooks. Just wind that up. There we go. Bait runner on. Let's see if we can do it again. Don't think it was anything massive. You can see where it had hold of the head of the smelt, but it didn't feel the hook, so it may well be there, and we may get a second chance at it. Or it could just move on to one of the others. Let's see how we do. Right, water's come up probably a good 6 inches since we've been here, and we're going to lose this swim, so we're going to just move a few hundred yards down the bank. We found another swim, and we'll move down there, get set up, get some oil on, get them in, and see if we can have one out for you. So we'll see you down there. See you soon. Bloody knees killing me. Dee. Here we are with Last Cast, walking the river. Right, we've moved down a few hundred yards down from the swim we were in before. We'd had a couple of knocks up there and something on, but not convinced it was a pike. It could have been a big chub or something. Baits have thawed out nicely now, so we're just going to get some oil in. I'm using pilchard, so I'm going to inject them up with a bit of pilchard oil and get them out to this swim. It's a bit slower and it looks a bit deeper, so fingers crossed we might get some on the bank for you. So let's go do the honours. Right, get some oil in it. It's best if you can, just getting the needle into the cavity. And then pump it in. There we go, a little bit in there. Let's get this one out. No, it's a bit too shallow in there. Let's have a recast. And get the rod height. Yeah, just water was coming up and up.
I was going to say, it looks like it's come by about a foot, hasn't it?
Yeah.
You can't.
Nope, not a bite. It's quite shallow as mine.
We had one on straight away. We don't know what it was. We don't know if it was.
Where's that one out there gone?
Smell.
What, did it whack it or was it?
That's
it. Picked it up.
And it bouncing and going, and I couldn't work out what it was. It like munched the head. I don't know if it was a chub or a perch. It didn't feel pikey, it was sort of pecking.
Didn't you hear me shout one moving?
I heard something shout, but
What about what you fishing with?
tried on the whip, yeah.
Move down, try here.
Trying to find, well, I think somewhere's a bit deeper because that peg's only about.
Right, we've been in this swim for a couple of hours now and nothing doing at all. We're not seeing anything, no sign of life. Just had to walk back up the bank to the one we started earlier and it's now under about 3 foot of water, so again that's unfishable. But between here and there there's a ramp going down the bank and then it appears to be deep close in, so we're going to have a wander and do a few hours in that one and see whether we can get anything out there. So we'll get all the gear up and get into that swim and let you know how we get on. So see you up there. Play it safer. Right, hey up and welcome to Last Cast. You catch us back on the river. We're further down than where we were on our last session. Last session was a bit of a blanker. We had one take which we think was a chub and that was it. So we moved further down the river. The reason we've gone for this peg is that there's a bit of a bay on it. You've got the main flow of the river out to the right there and it goes down to about 30 foot. And Bob's has got his rods out there. Mine are into this bay a little bit and there's a sandbank that runs up parallel with where we are. We've got one rod up off there. We've already plumbed up the rods, and again obviously when you're plumb up without your wire traces on, because you don't want to be snagging up and leaving it in there. So we're already plumbed up and sorted. We've got one rod out on the bottom of the sandbank as it ledges off, and then we've got another rod out into the deeper water, and then Bob's go gradually out into about 30 foot of water. We've got a mixture of lamprey and smelt on, and we're going to obviously go through the whole thing and see how we get on today. What we'll do as well is probably have a bit of a talk later on, because I've since our last film I've changed my rods, bit of a tackle tart, so I changed the rods and reels, and to be fair, these have been brilliant this season so far. And we've also changed net wise, the nets that we'll be using we weren't happy with, and we've saw some big fish technology ones, big fish tackle should I say, from I think over at Low Lounge. It's about the only place in the UK that you can pick those up, but they're an absolutely awesome piece of kit. But we'll probably talk through that later on and show you in a bit more depth once we've showed you it in action, getting all these numerous pike out and on the bank for you. So we'll go through the whole thing then. I'll say probably talk you through the gear a bit more. Just having a bit of an inquiry on one of the rods at the moment, but we've been having a few chub just coming around and sort of pecking at them, but I think are more chublets than anything else. So we'll see how we go, but we'll see if we can get a couple on the bank and see how we go from there. So I'll be talking to you soon. Cheers. We've got Bob's the cameraman. Bit like Alfred Hitchcock, you see it now and again. Let's get it over to the hook and see what we've got. Do you want me to keep it in water now?
Yeah, just carry on now.
Right. I think it's worth weighing. As you'll see, we've got all the unhooking gear ready to go. Get the traces out. Always look for the first one. The first one is literally just in the side here, so just got to be a little bit careful with where I'm going with my fingers. First one out. Second one out. Nice, nice clean river fish. Let's just pick her up with the camera. Well, wasn't a very good one with the old gill rakes there. Come on, quick picture and then we'll pop you back. There we go. Nice clean river fish. That's how it's done. There we go. Look at that. Lovely marks on it. Nice clean tail. Nice fish. Let's get it back in. See if we can get you some more. Got me with the old gill rates. It's always a good sign. Just let her rest up for a little while. She's giving me the pillow. Make sure she's fit. She goes. Nice. Catch and release. There she is. There you go. That's how it's done. Not a monster, but a really sweet little fish. Now I'll patch myself up. Let it play a little bit. On camera, Aidan. Big as the other one, but nonetheless it's a pike. Again, another really nice fish. Nice little minter. Get out of the way. Find all the hooks. Look at that lovely little fish. Not a monster. A couple of leeches on it, but it's good. That from around there. You just got to watch that sometimes. The wire will go around the mandible. You don't want to pull it and damage the fish. Again, benefit of using semi-barbless hooks is you've only got a barb on the one that's in the dead bait. So as you'll see how easy they came out. It's actually taking me longer to get it out of the net than it is to get it out of the fish. And again, benefits of a rubberised net. Straight out there. Get rid of all the paraphernalia and get a picture with it. But yeah, so that lovely fit. I mean, the one we had before, real belly, real fatness on it, so they're feeding well and ready to do the breeding. Not a monster, but again, good little fat belly on it. So, pop it in, pristine colours. Number 2. Yeah, there's a rest. What it is. There it goes. Swimming away strong. Way. Same rod again, isn't it?
That. Definitely that over that ridge, isn't it?
Yeah. Right, we've just got a bit of an update. We've had those 2 fish that you've seen, a nice couple of sort of mint river pike. Unfortunately, I'm apologising in advance because me being the div I am, I put my hand in my pockets at some point, but which looks like right at the beginning of the day, and I've muted my microphone. So we've got 2 cameras on, so hopefully it's been picked up on those, but apologies in advance if me being the divvy has buggered up the sound quality on it. But as I say, we've had those 2 on, so we'll see how we go with that. A couple of inquiries and plucks and still going on now, so it's been a sort of a steady away day. We'll keep cracking on and see what happens. As I say, later on I'll probably talk you through these new rods and certainly have a look at this new landing net that we've got, because to be fair, it's the landing net is just an awesome piece of kit. I know it's only a net, it's not a cheap net. I think they were about 75 quid or something, or 70 quid, but well worth the money. But we'll come back to that one later on. Catch you soon. Right, Bob's the cameraman, looks like he's getting a bit of a help here. No, maybe not. We've been getting what look like little chubby bites, that we keep plucking at it and all the rest of it, so we've actually switched this rod over to a smelt, and it looks like he's just had another one. So they're either perch or chub that just keep plucking, and they're lifting the bait, and but not very big by the looks of them, and the float's popping up and down, but we're not getting any sort of connection with them. It's been sort of happening throughout the day, but that's the only one that we've got with smelt on. Everything else has got lamprey on. Right, just as I said earlier on in the episode, we'll sort of give you a look at this new net that we've got. As I say, managed to pick them up from Big Fish Tackle. It is BFT. Come in 2 different sizes. You've got Monster, which is the big one, which we've got. I've got one, and Bob's has just got one as well. Brilliant piece of kit, nice and solid. Similar principles to the Savage Gear one, but much more solid. Only place we've managed to find them in the UK is over at Law Lounge. You'll find their website, and they've got them on there. Come in 2 different sizes. There's one that's called, I think they call it a drop net, which is a good sized net. But then these, much bigger. On mine, I've got a big magnetic clip, so literally you can sling it on your back when you're moving around. And then when you get to where you're going, you just pull it, it breaks, it goes back on the magnetic clip. So it's brilliant from that point of view. Same principle, as I say, as the Savage Gear net, but solider. Opens out, you can see the size of the net there, so you're not going to catch any pike in this country that are not going to fit into that. Pulls out, nice and solid. The other thing as well is that's good over the Savage Gear net, because it's hexagonal, the handle, it doesn't twist and turn, and also it's nice and solid and locks from that aspect. You've then got quick turn, and you've got your telescopic, so from what ends up being a net on your back to all of a sudden quite a substantial specimen net, and again nice and solid. The other thing that's good with them, as I say, is just get rid of that. You've got your pike in it and you want to move it up the bank, to move it around to your unhooking mat or whatever, then you got it like that. You pick it up like that, you've got a sling, your pike's in there, nice and comfy and tight. You can pick it up comfortably, you can hold it in the edge, do whatever you want with it, but it's a cracking piece of kit. As I say, not the cheapest. I think they were 70-75 quid, something like that. Might even be cheaper, but certainly worth every penny from that aspect. Good, solid, and again, still very, very portable. So as I say, Big Fish Tackle, BFT. This one's the Monster. They do another one which is the as I say, I think they call it a drop net, but I'm not 100% on that, but you'd see the difference with them. But you're not going to catch anything in this country that you won't get in there, and you can see the fair old size. I'll have a talk you through the new rods that I picked up later on, but see if we can get a few more fish in for the time being. There you go, BFT. Right, Bob's has just got a bite out in the middle. You got it? You got one on?
Yeah.
Right, Bob's has got a little one on. Just bring it in out of the channel. Let's see how he does in front of the camera. Can somebody come and do his makeup? He's not looking very good for the camera. Do you need me to net it or you manage? It's alright. It's bigger than one they had. Covered in leeches. They're looking good though, aren't they? Yeah. You got it?
Yeah.
Right, Bob's has got himself a nice little minter. So let's get it in and see what it's all about. They're feeding well, aren't they? Lovely markings on that. Is that on your smelt?
Yep.
Smelt at camera. Leeches everywhere. Look at all the leeches on the net. You manage. Leeches on its back.
It just comes out actually.
Yeah. Let's pop them back in. Right, just brought this one in for re-oil. So I said I mentioned the rods, etc. So just a quick talk through it. Set up the usual way. We've got basically 80-pound braid, sliding bead, float. Then I've got slider with the weight on. I always have one as like a little C-ring in it made of plastic. That's got 9-pound braking. So if I get my lead snagged, that basically I can pull for the brake. You've then got onto that a anti-tangle sleeve, which is basically a tube with the rubber stopper on the top, and then that's basically what it does. As you can see there, is it keeps your lead away from the rest of the tackle. The bottom of that, the braid goes straight through and onto basically the connecting clip, and then from that you're straight into the braid. Not the braid, sorry, into the trace, and then straight down to the bait. In this instance, we're fishing with lamprey. I mentioned that I'd changed. I'd always had, for as long as I can remember, I've been fishing with Shimano gear and rods. And this year I decided, because I'm a bit of a tackle start, that I was going to switch. Not massively expensive. I bought it's basically the Daiwa Black Widow 3-pound pike test curb. What's a bit different with it, and I don't really know the reasons behind it, and if anybody knows, then post it up. But it's got 2 extra eyes. Most of the pike rods I've ever used are 7 eyes. This, for some reason, has got 9. But it's got a brilliant action. It's a really strong, powerful rod, albeit with a 3-pound test curb, but it's just got a right forgiving action. And when you're playing the fish, you've got total control of it. It just feels great. Coupled with that, because obviously, as I say, I am a bit of a tackle tart. If you're buying a new rod, I had to get the reels to match. So again, I've gone for the largest Black Widow on there with the bait runner on, with the 80-pound line, etc. And as I say, I've many years using Shimano rods and reels and been brilliant. But you know, there's nothing wrong with those. I just fancied a change, and I have to say, so far this year, this has been a cracking setup from that point of view. Right, we'll get this oiled up and back out, and then see how we do from there. See if we can get a few more on the bank. We've obviously had 2 from myself so far, and Bob's the cameraman's made a cameo appearance and brought in one. No monsters, but the fish we've had so far have been absolutely pristine, well fed. Obviously feeding up for the winter. So you know, in good nick from that aspect, and it's always a pleasure to catch them. So we'll get a bit of oil in this, get it back out, and see if we can get a few more on the bank. See you in a bit. Right, we're going to call it a day now. We've had a good day. We've had a few fish. They were all no monsters, but they were absolutely mint, and you know, privileged to catch them from that point of view. All swam away fit and healthy, as you can see, or as you saw in the vid. We're going to do a few more episodes, but they'll be done on, like, you know, Piker's diary type basis. So take the cameras with us and see what we come up with. So we'll call it a day. If you like what you've seen, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on Last Cast. Take care. Right, we're top of the stretch that we said we're going to fish. We're going to start off up here with the old jig flies and work a few locks and work down a few features, and then we're going to work our way down. It's probably a couple of miles, 2.5, 3 miles, something like that. So let's get going. Just wet the jig fly to get a bit more weight in it for a cast, and then let's flick it up these reeds, see what happens. Just wind it back and then stop, and then wind it back and then stop, and then you get that sort of pulsing action as though it's swimming along, and that's really what we're looking to try and replicate with these. As I say, they're a bit more lightweight, although Andy stroke Wally has tied a bit of weight into them. I tend to find with these, like spinnerbaits, is that I like to play them along in front of me when I bring them back, because the amount of times you'll have a fish follow it and you don't see it, and then you're about to pull it out of the water and you miss it. I mean, Bob's, the cameraman, had one the other year where he literally didn't see the fish follow it in, picked the lure out of the water, the jig fly, and the fish launched out of the water after it, missed it, and scared him half to death. I don't know whether I had a little knock then or the bottom, but you see, it's just pulsing, and that's why, again, using a bit more of a lightweight rod than I would do from a normal spinning, to be able to cast it but also impart a bit of action to the fly. I mean, you can do one of two ways. You can just bring them straight back like this, as though it was some sort of spinner or whatever, then just let the fly and the tinsel do its thing, and then you just, you know, just bang it and it puts a bit of a pulse into it. Or, as I say, cast it out, let it drop, and then wind. I usually do 3 or 4 winds, stop, 3 or 4 winds, stop, and then that way you're getting it coming along and then sort of pulsing. 3 or 4 and stop again, and see it coming in again with the Polaroids on, so you can see what it's doing. Again, you notice every time with it, I'm just moving it along in front of me. As I say, especially when it's a little bit darker like this earlier on in the day, you can have one following that you just don't see, and then at the last minute when it thinks it's going to lose it, it'll just hit it. Again, 3 or 4, stop, 3 or 4, stop. Prefer to do this, just gives a bit more of an erratic action to it, but you can even jig them. You know, I mean, pretty much view it almost as though it was a spin bait, a swim bait. You know, you can't really see that, but just by jiggling it, you're getting that undulation in the fly, eel-like, etc. As I say, some of the bigger ones that I sort of showed you before we got going, really do pulse and make great Christmas tree decorations as well. But we're going to, as I say, work a few of these features and weed beds. Just put a bit of a pulse in there and just see if we can't come up with a few pike, see whatever size we can. I'm just going to flick it back towards the camera and the lock gate and let it go down. Obviously it's deeper with the sills, etc. A couple of jerky things, but again, because we're using a lighter weight rod, I say this one's casting up to, I think if I remember correctly, what was it now, 16 grams. It just means that you've got a bit of flex in it. Got to remember that when you get a hit though, because you've got to set the hook, and sometimes it's a little bit harder to set the hook with a softer rod. So just hit it and then get it set in there. Perfect day, autumn though, some lovely colour. Overcast, although there's a little bit of sunshine coming out. I mean, it was raining this morning and neither of us have brought a coat, so thankfully it stopped raining. But try different things. As I say, the jig fly itself is made to just sort of come back to you, so it's really down to you and the rod then to impart a little bit of action into it, whichever way you decide to do it. As I say, you can straight retrieve it, you can pulse it with the rod, pulse it with the reel. I mean, they really are quite versatile. You've just got to make sure, as I say, that you're fishing light enough to be able to cast the things. But you do get a little bit more, a bit of weed there by the feel of it. You do get a little bit more casting weight in it when you get them wet. Just letting it go vertical and up and vertical and up. Because you'd be surprised, you can cast and retrieve over a pike several times and it just won't hit it, and then for no reason it'll just either you irritate it or what, I don't know, and it'll just come out and hit it. So you can cover the same spots a couple of times. As we've said before, features, you know, they're ambush predators, so you know, if I'm stood here, my favourite spot is obviously up against this no, I think that was the bottom. It's obviously up against this load of weed. You notice I've been stood back from the edge there because I didn't want to spook anything that might have been down in front of me, but I'm confident there's not a right lot there. That's a bit closer to the weed, so I'm just going to bring that back in a straight retrieve. I can see it, it's about a foot under the surface. Just swimming along and then just bring it around the corner. Again, a bit of a pulse. Let's try over towards the other bank now. Let it go down a bit. They say really look at them as though they were a swim bait. Soft rod tip just gives that a little bit more action, but again, as I said earlier, just remember you're fishing with the soft rod when you're trying to set the hook, and you've got to probably strike a little bit harder than you would do with something a bit more rigid. But if they're wet, these, you can even under flick them. Let's get it over to the camera that way. So let it go down a bit because we're near the lock, and obviously there's a lot more depth there. The other thing you can do with them is, as the name suggests, you know, they are jig flies. You'd struggle to cast them on a fly rod, although if you've got a big heavyweight fly rod you could probably do that. But you can just let them go down. I'm going to move over a little bit towards this lock now, and I'm going to almost use it like a jig. Some of the smaller ones are probably better for this sort of thing with the bottoms. Just letting that go down, just watch your line. You've not got much weight in it, so and again, another reason for using a relatively soft rod, sort of sub 20 gram casting, is that now I can feel that and see it in the rod, and we're now right down at the bottom. I can feel it just bouncing along the bottom. So really quite a versatile and clever thing, as I say. Andy, which is his real name, or if you're an onliner, you'll probably know him as Wally, makes some absolutely fantastic baits, lures, everything. I mean, he's a big lure fisherman. I've even got one named after me, called it Brent. Big fat black one with a pink tail. I don't know whether that's anything to do with me, or just that Andy Stroke Wally really likes me. Very clever guy though, and I mean, the lures are like works of art, and we might do another episode later on in the winter where we'll use some of his jerk baits. We've got a few of those. Some of these custom made for me, and some of the standard pike ones, but they really are pretty fantastic. Right, just move down this side a bit, so sort of up below the runoff. We've got some water coming in over the other side, and I'm just going to cast over to the reeds the other side. And as we always say in these things, I'm going to go up and down this bank first of all, because the amount of times you'll do it and you'll have one right under your feet. You know, as you'll see on the one we did on the river, the biggest fish we had of the day was literally right under my feet. So just bringing it up the bank, and it's just looking for features. There's a bit of an indentation along here. We've got current coming out from the other side and then down this bank, so let's have another work up this bank here. Cast it a little bit closer. Let it go down a bit. Just got a little slack eddy at the bottom of the walkway I'm stood on. Just pulse it a bit, see if I can induce a strike, if there's anything there. Again, Polaroids on so I can see everything that's happening here. See if I get a follow, see if I don't. What I'm going to do is just flick it up past the camera. Oh no, I'm not. The cameraman's decided he's going to have some fish, so better not catch one. Over to the other side again. I don't know whether you can see it on the camera, but there's a little gap in the reeds there that I've just put it into. Just pulse it a bit. The trick with the canals is just take your time, look for a little feature, fish it, move on to the next one. There's a lot of open water with canals, and if you're not careful you can spend all day just walking around and not actually covering any of it properly. So just find a little spot like we've got here. There's plenty of weed cover and little currents, and just fish it in different ways. Little pulse, little jig of the rod. As I say, using the softer rod, which imparts the action and enables you to cast, but as I say, is not as good for setting the hooks. But so far, setting the hooks hasn't been a problem. Let's try over to there. There we go. It's really just looking at it and thinking, if I was a fish, where would I be sat? Because we've got the water coming in over there. You'd probably be over in the current or in the reeds on the other bank, just sitting there waiting for something to come past. Really are brilliant action, these. As I say, he's a clever guy. He's Andy. He fishes with them a lot. He makes proper flies as well, and fly fishes, so a man of many talents. I've got a bit of weed on there or something. Let's just crank that in. Bit of twig. Again, you've got big hooks on these, so you've just got to be a little bit careful if you don't know what's down there, so that you're not snagging up. Right, I'm going to go to the end here because we've got a little bit of a... Right, and then because it'll be quite shallow. But to remember, it doesn't really matter how shallow the water is, you can still catch pike in it. Bob's had a 23 last year, the cameraman, in, I think I've said it several times, but in about 2 foot of water. And I'd spent the entire day telling him that he wasn't going to catch anything there. What did I know? Right, so we've done this bank. Let's get over to those reeds. As I say, if you've got your rod and line all sort of set at the right casting casting weights, then you'll be able to flick these all over the place. I mean, I can flick these right the way across and there's no weight to them at all. As I say, with these I wouldn't advise anything more than about probably a 20 gram rod. Depending on what you want to do. Say this is the Savage Gear MPP pike and perch rod. It's quite a soft action. I think it's, as I said before, 16 grams, but it's about 7 foot in length or something. Just give it a jig so in case there's anything following it in, which there isn't. We'll have a couple more casts here and then we'll move on down, probably a couple of spots on the bank and then down to the next lock. Let's just try a different retrieve. Just working along the weeds over there. I really did think we'd have some action off this, but as we know, pike are pike. Now, right, I'm going to cast up to the camera into this current. It's coming in towards the dock. Let's see what we can come up with. Slow retrieve along the edge. Now, into the faster water. Let it go down. I think this will be the last cast in this spot, pardon the pun. No. Right, I think we'll move on to another spot. Right, we've tried this side, so let's get it over there and see what we got. Yep, and we're in. Just make sure that hook's in. Getting out the little net. Not a monster, but it's a fish. You could pass me the handle of my net.
Are you doing a review for this net?
Pulled it out too quick. Just careful it doesn't all fall to bits.
How do you get it back in?
It just slides back in. Shall I chin it out?
No.
Right, you'll notice that. There might be a bit of cutting on this. That was me being over exuberant. There we go. Just keep it in the water while I just get the mat. Advantage of a big net. Keeps the pike nice and comfortable in the water while we sort it out. There we go. Right. So, not a monster, but nonetheless it's a pike. go. Lovely little fish. There you go. Nice little one. Let's get that out. There we go. That one day will be a lovely fish. Absolutely pristine. Let's pop it back in. There we go. Nice little fish, and another little tip there, don't be over exuberant when you're pulling your landing net out. Whoa! Oh, you bitch. See it? Yeah, it was. Came after it 2 or 3 times. No. It didn't hit it. It went for it 3 times and missed it every time. Well, massive, but it was bigger. You might have to beep it. Hey? No. It didn't connect with it. It went for it and kept missing it. Basically what happened is I brought it up from the bottom and then let it drop again, and it went for it on the drop.